Okay, let's continue on, and what we're going to do now is we're going to use an alpha channel to create a shadow. An alpha channel is just an area where you save your selection so you can reuse it over and over. So let's think of it this way. If you spend 30 minutes selecting an object and then something goes wrong, then you have to spend another 30 minutes reselecting it. That's where alpha channels come into play, because once you save the selection, you can load it anytime and use that selection down the road. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to take the model and I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard, command key on the Mac, and what I want to do here is click on the thumbnail of the actual image. This will put marching ants around the model. Now I'm going to go up to select, save selection. Dialog box comes up. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to name it model outline. Now, where is it stored? It's stored in the channels panel. And you'll see it's down here, it says saved as model outline. Now here's the beauty of this. I deselect accidentally. If I need to load it, I just go up to select load selection. I choose the channel that I created, model outline, click OK, and it's now been reloaded. Now I'm going to click on my magazine background layer. I'm going to create a new blank layer above it. I'm going to rename the layer by double clicking on the layer 1 and name it shadow. Now that selection is no longer on the model layer, it's on the shadow layer. Okay, not the pixels, just the marching ants. Now what I want to do here is I'm just going to refine this a little bit, so I'm going to go up to select, refine edge, and in this dialog box here I'm going to change the shift edge to 36% to soften up the edges, because on a drop shadow you do want to have a little bit of a softer edge for that purpose. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to edit fill. I'm going to fill in that selection with a color, and I want to choose black from the use drop down list. I want to click OK. Now it's placed behind the model. Now we want to reduce the opacity some, because a drop shadow is usually softer color, so we're going to go down to about 30%, and we're using our layers panel up here at the top where it says opacity. I'm going to deselect by going to select deselect, and I'm just going to I'm going to go up to edit. I'm going to transform that shadow a little bit, so I'm going to go edit, transform, skew. Up here in my options bar, I'm just going to change some settings. First thing I'm going to do is up here where the rotation, I'm going to type in -15. Then over here to the X coordinates, I'm going to go in and change the 959 there that I have there to 845. I'm going to press my enter key to accept it, and then I'm going to click on the check mark to commit my transformation. And I'm going to save. See, you can see that it's rotated the shadow around. If I turn on the background, you can see that the shadow is around that. Now you can also still soften it if it's not soft as much, so you can go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and you can see here that 4 pixels, maybe 2 to 4 pixels will work on that part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and adjust the color of the hair. And we're going to use a certain, we're going to go in and learn how to take and use our color channels to help us select the color of the hair and then change the color of the hair. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to click on the model layer at the top. I'm going to go up to image mode. I'm going to change this to CMYK. It gives us a little bit better options to go in and change the color. And what we really are concerned about is the black channel. And since most of my hair is black, when you go to CMYK, you actually have a black channel that you can actually access. Dialog box is going to come up, and what you want to do is don't merge, so I'm going to click on don't merge there. I have, going to click OK there. I have all the other layers hidden except for the model layer that I'm on. Now I'm going to go to the Channels tab. I'm going to click on the black channel. I'm going to duplicate the black channel. And you notice how when we work with mask, things that are white is selected, things in black is not. But notice how the hair, mostly is all black here, and on most of the face is mostly white. So this helps us to go in and work with selections, because what it does is when your channels, it kind of converts it over to a black and white feature. Now we need to have the black channel the way it is, but we're going to create an alpha channel based on the black channel, and to do that we're just going to duplicate it by dragging it down to the new channel icon. It creates a channel called black copy. I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to name it hair. Now when you do that, it now becomes an alpha channel, which is basically an item that's selected. If it's white, it's selected. If it's black, it's not. Now, we have the hair channel selected. Now I want to make sure the black actually becomes a little bit more darker, because we want more of a pure black and pure white. To do that, we're just going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Levels. I'm going to move the black slider over to the left, and when I do so, can you see how everything's becoming a little bit more darker? I'm going to move the white slider to the left, and that's going to make everything white. So let's go down to 165. I click OK. Now, as I mentioned before in the mask, what is white is selected and what is black is not. Now I want the hair to be eventually selected. So since it's black, it's not selected in a mask. So what I got to do is I got to invert this. And to invert it, I'm just going to go up to Image Adjustments. I'm going to choose Invert, and now it just changes the colors to be the opposite. So now I got my hair all in white. Now, we only want the hair, so like the eyeglasses we don't want, and there's a couple specks here. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I'm going to choose the black foreground color. I'm going to use a nice sized brush here so it covers it up, and basically what I'm going to do is I want to paint that away. So anything that's not a hair, you want to paint with black. Okay. Now, down at the bottom of the channels panel, I'm going to click on Load Selection. It puts the marching ants in. I'm going to come back up on my channels panel and click on the CMYK mode. Got to click on CMYK, and then I'm going to go to my layers panel. I am on the model layer. Now I'm just going to go in and refine the edges, the feathers, we're going to feather the edges a little bit more, so I'm going to go up to Select, Refine Edge. I'm going to move the feather slider over to the right. It's going to soften the edges a little bit more. 1.2, 1.4. Now, once I have that, I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Again, hue and saturation we've seen before allows you to change the color. And we're going to turn on the colorize option. That gives it basically all one color in that area. I'm going to change the hue to about 230. I'm going to give you a nice little blue tint. Saturation 56 and lightness 11. It's going to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to click OK. And this time I'm just going to bring out a little bit more of the contrast, and I'm going to go up to Image Adjustments, Levels, and it's only going to affect what is selected. So here I'm going to move the black slider over to the left to about 58, 1.65, you're going to move the middle slider over to the left. And that's what we're doing, is we're increasing the contrast. So when we work with levels, we're just trying to go in and make the sliders start where the actual histogram starts. And voila! We've changed our color. We've gone in and we use a channel to select our hair. And what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and save it. And then your magazine cover is ready to go.